Hey, how's it going? Keith Townsend from the CTOadvisor.com with today's daily dose. I think I actually need coffee for this one because it's you know what? It is truly a C-level topic today in which we're talking about innovation in enterprise IT, making that digital transformation and funding it. So this is not anything new in an enterprise from a challenge perspective. We spend 80% of our budget on keeping the lights on and 20% of our budget on actual innovation. So, as a recap, this is, again, not a new challenge over the decades of managing enterprise IT. This goes to stuff like software licensing, hardware maintenance, and operations from a people perspective, whether it's application developers doing break fix or DBAs doing database maintenance. A great deal of our IT budget goes to keeping the lights on, expanding storage arrays, servicing help desk calls, etc. Just, the business of doing IT. And then from an innovation perspective, we spend 20% of our budget on net new projects. This is where the digital transformation has to happen. So a lot of the times we'll throw cloud in here, and a lot of times the way we implement cloud is actually just keeping the lights on when we lift and shift stuff that we're doing in our private data center to the cloud. We call that innovation. We'll get into whether or not that's truly innovative. But also things like, rolling out microservices or self-service portals or where AI and machine learning are truly innovative activities that we're undertaking to support the digital transformation. Had a really interesting conversation with a large enterprise vendor, the regional sales director there, and talking through the challenges they're facing when they're having this conversation with enterprise IT. We have a basic question we need to ask. Are we going to buy innovation, i.e. go to Dell, EMC, HPE, the Lenovo, IBM, Accenture, DXC, etc., and buy the innovation, i.e. outsource the smart parts of innovation to those folks? Or are we going to fund that ourselves and create that value within ourselves? Are we going to hire developers? Are we going to take open source bits and put our own IP to it to differentiate us from our competition? This is not an easy decision because most of us are not in the business of technology. Technology is not our core skill set. So we go back to the 80s and 90s of this build versus buy mentality. Do we build our ERP system or do we buy one from SAP, PeopleSoft, Oracle, etc.? We need to answer this question. So some of the things I've seen in the field is that people get really hung up on how do we optimize this 80% so that we can put 20% of our budget, so we can, maybe change this to 75% or 70% and put 30% of our budget towards innovation so that we free up resources to innovate. We're pretty good at that. We're pretty good at optimizing. We'll find stuff like, MPLX circuits for enterprise application hosting. We'll outsource it. We'll outsource support to a managed service provider, etc. We'll find optimizations to free up budget. But what we fail to think about is once we have the budget, what's truly innovative? Is it innovative to take a application such as SAP? I like to pick on SAP. Move it from a on-prem solution to the cloud. Have we really enabled the business to do more with that technology, or have we just optimized for cost and support? Or is it more innovative to take something like a Fiori, which is their mobile type platform and framework, to create a mobile app? And when we create that mobile app, do we outsource the development of that to a offshore team or even a application development house, or do we hire the staff to create the application? We free up funds without actually thinking through what's innovative. From a data center perspective, do we free up resources in the data center so that we can implement Kubernetes? And if we're going to implement Kubernetes, do we go and buy that Kubernetes solution from a vendor such as Red Hat with their OpenShift solution? Or do we take those bits and create and hire developers to innovate? This is not an easy question to answer. It's not as simple as one or the other. The market for this is extremely immature. I wrote a piece over on the CTOadvisor.com examining VMware's position in the industry and whether or not they've fallen behind. And the answer to that question is I'll say no, because falling behind who? Who exactly is innovating from an enterprise application perspective outside of VMware, Dell EMC, HPE, DXE, the Accenture? The list goes on and on and on and on. No one's really stood out and said that we've made this digital transformation thing easy. We've taken server virtualization, in the case of what VMware has done in the FES, take something that's difficult as server virtualization, make it so easy that you can self-train and do it on your own. That's not where microservices, containers, take your, infrastructure as code, all these things all these buzzwords have not been productized to the point that is shrink wrappable and can be delivered in a mass market. So if we're at that point and we want to innovate, we want to be the engine of digital transformation, we have to ask ourselves, do we want to go at the speed of our vendors, taking less risk, but having the resources, the technical resources of our vendors? Or do we want to self-fund this and self-innovate, where we take that 10% savings that we're getting from that keeping the lights on, plowed into true innovation, and take the risk of building these solutions and differentiating on our own? Tough question. That's why in enterprise IT, we get paid the big bucks. We'll continue talking about these topics at VMworld and beyond. Join me at VMworld if you're there. If you're not, follow me on the Twitters. I will be tweeting a lot at CTO Advisor about VMware. I'll do multiple daily doses. I'll be on the Cube, which you can find www.siliconangletv.com, where I'll interview executives from HPE, VMware, asking these very questions about how do they add value to companies looking to digitally transform versus companies themselves needing to undertake that effort on their own. And of course, you can find me on the web, thectoadvisor.com, where you'll find the blog and the podcast. Talk to you guys next CTO Advisor Daily Dose.